Alright, hey everyone, I'm PM Asher. You may know me. I'm Marketing Director here at Trendy Entertainment, and we also have...
I'm Stephen Collins, Ezrath on the forums and in the Dungeons & Dragons 2 game.
So cool, he's, what's your title?
I'm one of the level designers on DD2. Made a lot of different maps that are currently in the game, so
Cool,
it's fun to see everybody playing them.
So we're actually here to talk to you guys today about the new update, right?
Right.
This update is actually going to be coming out soon. We're estimating sometime next week, but of course, as with anything, it might slip. So be ready, but we are in the process of finaling it now. And in fact, we have iPass Butter over here. Woo! Guys, like, tell him how much you love him in the comments, please. He is going to be playing the new build with a lot of the members of the remote QA team that we have. We're all amazing folks. They've been really helping us kind of nail this patch and really the game in general, and also some members of the team. So where are they right now?
Right now they're in our new what's called social tavern, or the social hub. We've upgraded one of the hubs to house 20 players, I think is the number of players that can be in here. They can interact and talk with each other and really find a group of people that they want to go into a map with. So it's really fun to see all the players and see everybody working together in the social tavern.
Yeah, so like Steve said, this is one of the new additions. We're going to be going through a lot of stuff today. I want everyone to know that Dungeon Defenders 2 it is early access and it is early. We're in pre-alpha, so there's going to be times where we change things back,
right, and
then take one step forward and 2 steps back and a step to the right in order to get to the right place. So a lot of the stuff that we're doing and showing you today are actually partial steps towards where we want to eventually be,
this
and not a full step.
This is more of a part one update to a new sort of direction that we're heading here.
Yep, so we've taken a lot of everyone's feedback from both before when we released on Steam and after, and we kind of assessed about how much time it's going to take us to address kind of the core foundational parts of that feedback. And I think for us, we're kind of looking at it in like 3 milestone-ish time,
right,
and we've just completed one of them. So this is step 1 towards that path, and that's why I think Josh, I'm not sure the exact name that we're calling the update, but I believe we're calling it the Foundation Update Part 1.
Part 1.
So this is part 1, and we're going to go over what that means. So obviously we showed you the social tavern, and I want to talk a little bit about some of the systems that we're adding in to the game as well. Now once again, these systems are just the bare bones of the systems, and as we kind of improve the core gameplay and implement more stuff, they're going to become more meaningful. So I think iPass Butter is actually going to run over to the Forge now. We're going to talk about...
Take a look at the Forge. We've got a new section here, the collections section. This was in a previous update with the titles, but now we have a new challenges section, and this has all kinds of different challenges for players to accomplish and update their hero with gold and XP rewards, I believe is what you get for completing these. There's all kinds of different categories for these challenges. There's each one for each heroes, there's ones for enemies, there's ones for getting items done. So there's a lot of different ones for a variety of play and allow you to update how you play each map. So
yeah, and can you tell me like what's the meanest?
The
what's the meanest one we have in the game right now?
There's a lot of damage dealt that's a little pretty mean, and there's a lot of we have the new special enemies, and you have to kill a lot of those the special enemies that come through. So
I think there was one like what deal 100,000 damage.
There's 100,000 damage to characters, and a lot of tower players will sit back and watch their towers do that. A lot of DPS characters will take fun in slicing down health of the ogres to get that challenge done.
So cool. So like I said before, this is the foundation update. This is just the beginnings of the system. Obviously right now, one of the things in Dungeon Defenders is that we only have a few rewards to give people.
Right.
We basically have XP and gold. There's not a lot of stuff to do with gold yet. There will be, not necessarily in this patch, but probably in the next patch. And there's also, a limit to how much XP you see your character. But you can imagine that this kind of system, for example, will be utilized later on when we do get costumes in, and those kind of things. And it could be like maybe you get a special embellishment, or your character changes how they look, or maybe you get a tavern customization.
Complete
like the
the special enemy challenge, and maybe there's something in the tavern that pops up or something like that.
Exactly. So once again, this is kind of the groundwork for those systems to be there, and that's kind of going to be the theme as we talk through all of this stuff. So if you guys have any questions while we're talking about any of these systems, please throw them at us. We'll rip them out of out of the comments and try to answer them as we go. So this was challenges. There's also Steam achievements as well that are tied to some of these challenges that will be in the game. This is just the start to the Steam achievements in the game, so we're kind of interested to see how people react to these in early access, and that will kind of show us what path we need to take for the final achievements.
I think right now there's only about 15 Steam achievements.
Yep.
A lot of them are. There's a couple questions about if they were going to be just in game, but I think there's some that you can achieve more towards the beginning of the game. So there's a little variety in where you'll earn the Steam achievements.
Cool. So now I want to move on to one of the other big foundational features that we put in the game. This is actually Archibald, and he's up here over in the corner.
Let him out.
Yeah, he's not only a new NPC now. I've heard that he's supposed to be drunk, but he's not drunk yet. So I think that's going to come in a future update when we have more animation time. This is Archibald, and he has our daily missions. I believe this was an influence vote. Yes, this was actually. So
with the influence vote, if I recall correctly, was if you wanted to choose from two challenges or re-roll a challenge.
Yep.
And the influence vote, we decided we went with the choose your challenge.
Yep, they chose to choose. So every day you'll be able to come here and you'll be able to pick between 2 daily missions. Now, once again, right now the rewards for doing these are gold and XP. Right. But this is the kind of system that you can imagine down the line where we get more kinds of things to give players or pieces along the way to get loot, like tokens that add up to a special kind of loot or those kind of things. This is the place where you would get those. So we'd really love kind of your feedback on the daily missions that we have in the game now, and we'll be adding more to flesh them out in the future. So this is a great way for you guys to start to tell us, hey, these are the kind of things that we want to do every day, or no, we don't like these at all, you need to give us these kind of things, or maybe even start a thread on the forums and be like, oh, these are the daily missions that we want to see next. So.
New fun ideas for daily missions is always something that's fun to see on the forums when you guys start posting them.
Exactly. All right, cool. So moving on, there's a lot in this update to talk about. I want to go to campaign mode.
Campaign mode.
So
highly requested.
We both want to introduce. We're fighting over introducing this. Okay, so there's a lot to talk about here. Basically, as you all know, some of the most feedback that we've gotten from the game since before we hit Steam and when we hit Steam was just fixing the core progression loop of the game. The game is kind of, and it still is in this update, a little confusing about how you progress through the game. And one of the things that we're doing is we're taking baby steps towards fixing that. Not only bringing it more like Dungeon Defenders 1, but just making it more understandable in general. So the first step towards that is something that we call campaign mode, which actually lets you play through all of the maps in the linear order that they exist. So I think John's actually going to jump into the first map.
Let's go to the first map.
It looks like you have a level 25 with you. I think it's going to be a little easy.
Playing as the level 1.
All right. So you can see here that he's joining the campaign. What this is doing is it's going to take him to the campaign mode with,
he's got to remove his,
yeah.
Gotta get rid of that big hero you got in there.
Yeah.
We'll save that for later.
Alright, sweet. So like I said, there are obviously some still issues with this. This is a step along the way. What we really want you guys to look at is the balance changes that we put into it and the kind of fun to progress from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 to level 4. And that's what we need to know if we got right here. And then actually in our next milestone, the biggest thing on that milestone is something we're calling Matchmaking Phase 4?
4, I believe.
Matchmaking Phase 4, which is to really iron out all the kinks to very easily let you access all of the maps and content from one hub. And I believe to let you, go to the next map from the map that you're playing on, kind of all those things that you guys want to see. So this is kind of the balance step in that direction, and we've taken a really hacky approach to get it in now.
Right.
And then that will be solidified next time.
One of the main complaints, or one of the main goals of this campaign mode also is there's a large sort of XP grind to get through all the maps, and this helps you complete the maps in a sequential order and get you to a certain hero level with all your heroes. So. Yeah,
so we had a lot of feedback that basically it just took too long and you were stuck in batches of maps, and so it was like you'd get to 10 to 15 and you have like 6 maps to play, but it would be hours and hours until you unlocked a new map. So part of the purpose of this as well is that the end game is after you've beaten all the existing maps in the game.
Right.
So let's check out the first level. So while John's actually going and booting up the first level, and we'll show you, there's actually still, I think, 2 more fixes getting pushed into this update for this, which you'll see at the end of it, about how you continue to the next map.
There was one of the feedback that we're trying to get in right now is when you beat a map, continuing on to the next playlist or the next map in the order. So hopefully getting that in for you guys. I'm pushing hard on it right now.
Yep. So while John's playing, I think we want to talk about some of the balance changes that you'll find in this new campaign mode. Right. I think the first thing we want to start is the enemies. So what have we done to enemies in this?
Enemies, don't freak out right away. There's a lot of different things that have come in. So
first thing we're talking about the sum of the parts.
Right. Starting with the enemies, we've increased their health a number.
Added 600 base health.
600 base health.
So it's our cheat sheet here.
At the very
you guys will get this when the patch comes out as well.
At the very base level of enemies, they've all gotten a 600 base health increase. So they also got a scaler. So as the enemies level up, they're going to get more health as they go up. So when you're fighting a level, say 3-4 goblin in this map, it's not going to be as easy as fighting a level 20 goblin later in the map. So we want to make sure that the enemies scale up and then provides the same amount of difficulty as you scale up.
Yep. And I think we've already have some people in the comments note the 40 cost flame burst tower. Yes, that's something.
40 cost flame burst.
That is actually something that we are going to get to later. Obviously, a lot of stuff has been buffed, and some things have been nerfed as well. So we will talk about all of those right now. Right. So I think the first thing we want to get into is heroes. So one of the things that our designers noticed is that the primary and the secondary attack later in the game was getting pretty useless for the heroes. Right. So those were actually buffed, I believe.
We increased the each hero by about 1.2, maybe to 1.8%. Their primary and secondary attack. So that's your left and right click by default. So you'll be able to feel like you're doing a lot more. Have a lot more presence as a character doing your auto and secondary attacks. So it also helps when you start going as a DPS character late game. Mm-hmm. It ramps up better with the DPS stats for the heroes.
And let's actually skip right to what people care about, the defenses. So we talked about the hero a little bit. So the defenses. So defense speed actually has some major changes to how that stat works in the game. Do you want to go over those in broad strokes?
I can go over some larger issues with the defense speed stat. There's a.
Butter, tell everyone to G up. Jeez.
Get ready. Let's go.
I mean,
defense speed it's a lot of different things that got adjusted in defense speed. There's going to be a copious amounts of notes on defense speed when we get to the patch notes. But basically, towers will, I think they flattened out, so all towers gain the same amount of defense speed. No, they get defense speed.
It's like split apart. So basically, there are some towers that defense speed is like the be-all, end-all stat that you want. I believe those are like the frostbite,
and the
geyser type. So there's other ones that it's nominal, and you prefer to get maybe defense power from.
So each tower, the towers now will scale differently based on the stats that you get. So like you want to get more defense speed, say for the cannonballs, for the Squire's Cannonball, for example, and the Frost Tower, but you'll want to probably go more defense power, let's say, for the Flame Burst.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so that's the first thing to defense speed for the things. Now defense health. Defense health hasn't had too much to do with it. There's actually two mechanics that we kind of wanted to reveal to you guys, so you know some of the primary things that make defense health really awesome to have. The first one is repair cost. Repair cost is actually calculated as a percentage of
the damage that's been done to the tower. So a tower that has just a little bit of damage to the tower will only cost a little bit of mana to repair it. So it scales, the harder the tower's been hit, the more it's going to cost to repair. And maybe you want to upgrade it instead.
Yep, so exactly. So defense health is actually kind of the only stat in the game that really has an effect on how much green mana is available to you. So if you were to increase your defense health by a lot, then you actually have the ability to basically have more green mana than otherwise, because the repair costs are so much lower.
So you want to get some defense health in there to keep your towers alive and keep more green mana for you to use elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. And now defense power is pretty straightforward. You stack to get...
here we go. Hang on. We got,
perfect. Here's something else we show. Level up feedback.
Level up feedback. There was a lot of comments about when you leveled up, you weren't sure what you got. As you can see, we can... when you level up now, you have a whole list of things that you've been given for this level. So you can see the tower that you've gotten. You can see the stats that have increased for each hero, and then you just hit continue. That screen only pops up during the build phase.
Yep.
You can level up during the combat phase, but this screen will only pop up during the build phase, so you won't get interrupted. You can go ahead and continue. Sorry to interrupt. We had a screen there.
Yeah. So I think next we're going to move on to defense range.
We
will get to your questions in the comments. We're kind of rolling through some of the stuff.
Right.
We're going to do both at the same time.
It's a big patch.
Yep. So defense range.
All right. Defense range was it's sort of a hot topic on what do you do with defense range, but we've taken the range of the towers. They are all sort of in a similar range, but now there's a short, medium, and long range towers. So you only need to use long range towers for the long straightaways, and you want to use short range towers for the sort of curves and maybe dealing with javelin throwers if you put them on a curve, or using long range towers to deal with javelin throwers on a long straightaway. So you can experiment with the different ranges that come in through the towers.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the, once again, this is part one in a change that's going to take place over multiple patches. The idea was to really make a tower that's a long range tower legitimately a long range tower, and a tower that's a short range tower, and that meant pulling the range stats back into the first level of the tower.
Right.
So if you're going to get, I think, any base towers now, you'll find that their base range has been greatly increased.
It's a lot. Your towers are going to be able to shoot a lot farther now. There's also just a minimum amount of range that they'll get per upgrade. So when you start building your tier 1 towers, you're going to really see sort of what their effective range is.
Yep. So when you're fighting a javelin thrower, for example, you might be like, hey, let me put a ballista down, as opposed to saying, hey, let me place a firewall tower and upgrade it, 3 or 4 times. So, or an earth shatter tower if you're there.
Or if you want to build around a corner, you can still build that flame burst just around the corner. So he has to walk all the way around and get nailed in the face by a fireball.
Exactly. So there's a lot of changes to see how players deal with javelin throwers. We'll be looking at metrics and obviously feedback to continue this. I know one of the things that we wanted to do but didn't get to was actually to push when javelin throwers were introduced later into the progression. So that's definitely something that I believe will be coming up in the future.
Right. The enemy introductions we weren't able to touch yet. We'd like to get to those at one point, but right now we'll be looking at the metrics and feedback for that.
Cool. So I think really quickly, we're not going to go over all the tower changes right now, but you will have these lovely patch notes. We will print them out and mail them to you. Yeah. But I did want to talk just a little bit about the Flame Burst Tower. So to preface this, all towers received basically global buffs across the board.
Towers are a lot more powerful now.
And that was kind of the baseline for things that we did. But when we did that, we did have to make a few modifications to some of the towers to kind of bring them in line with the global buffs that we gave to towers. So,
Flame Burst, the first obvious one that everybody's already called out is the DU increase. It was a 30 and now it's a 40. That falls in line more with what the cannonball is. So the cannonball and the fireball are sort of coexisting now. The fireball still does its AoE damage, so you can still place it and it'll deal with a lot of the cannon fodder enemies as well. So the other thing is we had to bring its damage down just a little bit to be more in line with all the other defenses. So that's a part of the small nerf to the fireball tower that has come in.
Yep.
It did get its range increased along with the others, so it's still very powerful. You still have the Apprentice's fireball spec for all you fire mages out there that want to blast away enemies with the fire and using the oil flask if you're a huntress and fire builder. So still a good tower.
Mm-hmm. So obviously lots of balance changes in this patch. We really need everyone to play them and provide feedback on them. I can't stress enough, as with any change, that this is a step along the way. So there may be things that are too far, there may be things that are too short, and that's kind of where your feedback comes in. So we're really excited to get this patch out to you, to have you guys play, and then to when we actually fix the matchmaking problem, which is going to come in the next patch, which is kind of what we call the progression and the having to jump out to double hubs and all that confusing stuff. When we fix that, we'll also be able to overlay, the feedback from these changes on, and hopefully give you guys a really solid experience to play in the campaign mode.
Right.
Sweet. Oh man, I want to talk about other future campaign modes if I can't do that yet. So let's see, what wave are you on? I've actually covered up your. Oh, cool, I can see that. Okay, so we're only on wave 3 of 5.
Wave 3.
So let's keep talking. Why don't you talk about maybe some of the later campaign mode maps, and are there any changes in those? Or
there was some changes. We've done the special enemies that we've put in.
So we added 2 special.
We
enemies?
added 2 more special enemies. You'll see. It used to be a chance to see special enemies, so there was ups and downs to that area, but we wanted to make sure that you saw each one and got to be familiar with it. So now during the progression, you'll see different special enemies as you're going through. So through the progression, you'll see them, and then later in the free play when you unlock, you'll see different ones spawn on different maps. So the special enemies is really a fun way for each map to sort of end.
And then after you get out of the normal campaign mode structure, I believe you have free play sections now?
Correct. We have basically when you get to the end of the campaign mode, they'll unlock basically all the maps that you get to play again at a difficulty for the hero level that you'll be at when you get there. So a lot of the free play, and you'll be able to play with friends and select the maps that you want to play and grind and get all the loot that you want for all those maps. We also did a loot adjustment. We have a lot more. People used to get high level gear early on, and they would never find an upgrade. And so we've adjusted the curve for the loot, so you'll find more upgrades and better loot as you're going through the campaign. So you're looking out and comparing all those loot.
And that was something that I definitely noticed as I was playing through. So once again, we need you all to play. We need your feedback. If you guys have any friends who haven't played before, you want to let them come in and try it from the scratch and give us their feedback, that would be great as well. One of the things that's always really funny and difficult for us, and maybe something that's actually being fixed on this map right now a little bit, is that we have a tendency to know our game too well, and we'll play it and we'll be like, oh man, that was way too easy, that first level was so easy, let's make it harder. and then of course for new players who the first level is actually for, they're like, this game is impossible.
It's way too boring.
What are you doing? So those are some things we have to fix. So I think we'll take a moment and take some questions from the comments for a little bit, and then when we beat this map, we'll actually kind of show you, how the next map just unlocks and you can play it now. And then we'll actually move on to the challenge mission, which I think is what everyone is looking forward to. So let's see. We have one question here, which was about PS4. Is the game coming to PS4? Yes, it is.
Yes.
We are working on a PlayStation 4 version of the game. Will be coming exclusively to the PlayStation 4 this year. And actually at PAX South, we had behind closed doors, and by that I mean open and out in the wild in front of everyone. But we did play at the PlayStation version for PAX, so that's something we're working on. And obviously coming along with the PlayStation version is stuff like controls. I actually saw sitting in the conference room one of our mock-ups for the inventory screen and how that would look and be controlled by a controller. So there's a lot of progress that we're making on those fronts. And those are things that we're excited to both do for the PS4 version and then actually get into the PC version, so those of you who like to play with controllers can play. I will say I was kind of surprised. I think the PS4 version right now is in development. It has a new control scheme, but it doesn't have the HUD for the control scheme yet. And I was shocked at how many of the press that we were talking to were able to actually pick it up and play it and navigate. I was like, how are you doing that? Like, it tells you, like, press 1. 1 is like L1 and triangle. And like, no, we got it. So okay, that was really good. So let's see. Here, is it possible for us to contact indie developers and get their characters as pets in the game? So that's something that we would love to do. Oh man, I'll segue for a second and talk about this awesome indie game that we saw at PAX South. But something we'd love to do. First, we're going to get pets into the game, and then after we get pets into the game, we'll start kind of looking at those things. So one thing I will say is that at PAX South, for those of you who like tower defense games, which I bet is all of you, there was actually this game there called Fortified, which is a third-person action tower defense game coming out on Xbox One and PC. And it was awesome. It was just the kind of game we like to play. It's basically you're like 50s like military people, and you're placing like giant like mortars and like sci-fi weapons to fight oncoming like robots and aliens. So it's really cool. So that's my segue away from this patch to tell you, go check out that game. It's going to be awesome. Yes, Fortified. We'll probably we talked to them and made friends a little bit. So we might be sending everyone an email or something just to let everyone know, because we think that fans of Dungeon Defenders will really like that title. So let's see here. Let's grab a couple more questions. Let's see. Will there be voice support for DD2? So voice support isn't something that we're actively looking into adding in right now. That's possibly something that will come in the future, and obviously if people want to, they can, of course, use Skype or other voice over IP.
We also have the Steam. You can add them as a friend on Steam and talk to them on the Steam chat as well for the time being.
Mm-hmm. And let's see, will there ever be a game mode where you have to defend against just player targeting enemies?
Just player targeting, that's an interesting one. There's a lot of game mode talk, obviously, and all these ideas for different game modes and what you want to see. And survival mode is a big hot topic for endless waves, and only player targeting enemies would be funny. Then who would attack?
Yeah. Well, I know we don't even have an only player targeting enemy in the game yet. Right. I believe our only player targeting enemy is in development. Not sure when that's supposed to hit, but I'm sure it'll be fun when it does. So maybe that's something down the line that we'll look into. I think, like Colin said, some of the first stuff we're looking at is survival and some other more hardcore game modes, I think.
Maybe some more hardcore game modes for the hardcore fans.
So let's see here. Does anyone know how to get the game to just let you play solo instead of trying to find a session? All you have to do is click private game.
We have a private tavern, I believe, option now.
Yep.
When you're launching, so you'll be able to. I think we had mentioned the social hub. You'll be able to bypass the social hub and play privately.
Is that so? Or is it an options menu somewhere?
I was told that it was in, so it may be in. I may be.
It wasn't at one point. I don't know for sure about that one, but suffice to say, if you want to play solo, even if you jump into the social tavern, you can simply hit private game, and then with the new campaign mode, you won't have to exit out of the actual your private tavern while you play the game. You'd only have to exit out if you wanted to go into the free play section. And we'll actually see that here. iPassButter is going to click on, I think here it's called Next Playlist still, but we're pushing an update. I think it's going to be called Continue. So if you press Continue, you'll actually be brought back to the hub. Oh man, it's green. So we did, I think, increase the chances globally to not get green on these chests, which is also step one. There's actually, we need to implement a feature to make it so in later levels, like as your level gets higher, we can increase the likelihood for the chest to be rare. So we just increase it globally right now, but that is something we're looking at. So we'll show you, this is what we've been waiting for, why iPassButter played the first level instead of going straight into the challenges.
G up.
Push G. Come on, people. Tell them all to press G. I'm waiting for it. It's always the monk. Who's playing the monk?
Who's the monk?
It's not like he found some gear on the first level that he's like, oh, this is awesome.
I don't know, he's just jumping around. All right.
Okay, cool. So you can see here that you just have to click Next Playlist on the bottom left. Quick, hit it. Okay.
All right, now you're going to the next area.
And you'll see here now, when you get to the tavern, you can actually look at the map and you'll have your second one unlocked. Oh, you leveled up. Sweet.
So now you'll be able to, instead of having to go back to an old tavern, you can go in and click the war table.
Yeah, and take a look at it. You can see Dragonfall Bazaar's unlocked. So obviously there's going to be some problems with this down the way. Like I said, this is really step one in the process of kind of getting what would be the normal map structure, the structure that you guys have asked for. So for the time being, we'd appreciate all of the bugs that you guys find. Obviously with this system, like I said, there's going to be a major overhaul in how the kind of flow works to make it make sense in the next update. But in this one, we really want people to start to play through the maps that are going to be there and say, this balance feels well, I beat the first map, I feel like I'm doing fine on the second map, and those sorts of things. So, sweet. All right, well, let's move on. If you want to actually leave this map, I don't think we need to play this one. We actually want to go to the challenges. So before we play the challenges, why don't you kind of introduce what both of them are?
We have.
Or actually, I think we were going to have.
I think Jeff is going to pull in the challenges. So he's one of the level designers that helped make those. So I'm
he's right here. So he's coming in now. All right. Well, thank you, Steve.
Yep.
If you guys have questions for Steve, please let us know. We're going to be doing questions at the end. Jeff, you can come on. I actually have a whole list of questions from the community here that we're going to answer while we're doing the challenges. And of course, we're going to take any questions that you guys have from the comments. So hey, introduce yourself. This is the first time you've been on.
Hi, I'm Jeff Bickle.
Oh, and also don't touch the table. they can hear that.
Okay. I'm Jeff Bickle. I'm a technical level designer here at Trendy Entertainment.
Cool. So can you explain quickly what a technical level designer does then?
All right. Well, do a lot of things, wear a lot of hats, but this past month and a half, I've been working on the 2 new Incursion modes that'll be going into the patch.
Sweet. So why don't you introduce those to us, and I think John's going to go take us to one of them.
All right. I believe we're going to the Chrome Enemies Incursion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we had 2 different styles of incursions. We had the elite forces and the enemy commanders. This is one of the special forces.
Operations. Yeah. So
special operation. Excuse me. Sorry.
Changing your verbiage. So actually, this is something that we did have an influence vote about, and we kind of asked people which you would like us to put more time into.
Right.
Would you like us to put more time into the commander-led ones, or would you like us to put more time into the general special forces, one of the Chrome enemies? The answer we got was the commander, so we did do that this time, but we do have both of these to release.
Yeah, we wanted to present one of each for our initial launch, and then in the future we will be focusing far more heavily on the commander incursions.
Exactly. So let's jump into the Chrome and play. I don't know if John will beat this, but why don't you tell them a little bit about what Chrome enemies are?
Okay, so with the incursions, we wanted to present sort of a puzzle to players, give them new challenges, something that's not just a straight health increase, stuff like that. So in this mode, you cannot knock up and you cannot stun enemies, which
so basically
when they're coming towards your barricade is quite terrifying. Right. Your tornadoes not going to help you. Your geyser traps not going to help you. You've got to sort of figure out the puzzle, figure out how you can take out all these enemies that aren't going to stop.
Cool. Well, John, if you want to, sorry, Butter, you want to take us to the? Come on, everyone's waiting.
Load it in.
Sorry, guys.
You just gotta invite everyone in. Steam's being. But so why don't while we're waiting to kind of get to the first challenge in Tavern, let's talk a little bit about the Dark Mage Incursion. So I've heard from people that this is a bitch to play. So explain to me about the Dark Mage Incursion.
Yeah, the Dark Mage Incursion is meant to be definitely challenging. What he'll do is we've got Malthius the Learned, is I believe his name. He sits above the level, and for the first 4 waves he'll summon skeletons. And he'll start casting a powerful heal spell over different areas of the map. And he'll cast it over a larger percentage of the map as it goes on. So you've got to be real creative with your choke point placement.
So basically you're just going to be fighting like an army of skeletons.
Yeah, you'll have a lot of skeletons. You'll have a lot of enemies that just won't die if you're not building your choke points well. And then in the 5th wave, he'll join in. And he's got some very powerful abilities.
How much HP does he have?
Not as much as an ogre.
Not as much as an ogre? Oh man, that's easy, right? Well, we'll see. So we're going to, like I said, in the Chrome enemies. So this is the free play section that's called Incursions. We are on Chrome enemies. So it'll be very interesting to see how I pass Butter and everyone fares here.
I'm sure he'll do great.
So what's like the suggestion on defense setup for this Chrome enemies map?
Well, you're gonna have a harder time with barricades because they'll just keep coming. The trick is to set up enough attrition, sort of whittle them down before they get there, and then hit them hard.
Cool. Well, let's see. Oh, he's already starting off and failing. All right, so we're gonna start to take this time to take some questions about the patch. We've kind of been over just a few of the things that are in the patch right now. There's a lot more. I think a lot of people are asking from the comments, and I'm just gonna go as in general, like, are there new heroes? Are there pets yet? Are there what was the other one? New maps? So yet, no, none of those things are in the patch yet. I want to basically over the next couple of months, what we're doing first is really fixing some of the foundational problems that people have kind of mentioned about the game. And as we're doing that, the content team is working on tons of awesome stuff. I go in every day now and watch Enrique draw the pets and their evolutions. Oh, I wasn't supposed to say that. They look awesome. We are making good progress on there. The pets design is actually getting signed off on soon, and we're starting down that path. Costumes, we have so many costumes already modeled out, and we're starting to work on figuring out how you equip them and how you get some of the embellishments just by playing the game and those fun things. So all those things are coming along, but like I said, we're in very early access, we're in pre-alpha, they're further down the line. What we're focusing on releasing and getting out to you guys are some of these foundational fixes that we know really need to be in before we get those systems in. Even after those systems come in, there's going to be some time where we just probably spend even more time doing foundational systems, because everything that goes in pets, all of a sudden the game has to be, you know, completely rebalanced because it's balanced and not having pets at all right now. So there's lots of other stuff in this patch. We're going to start taking questions. I think we'll probably touch on some of those from the questions. And first I'm going to start with the first question from our forum. So these are the things that Josh has collected as I think the last couple of weeks have passed by, and then if you guys ask in the comments, we'll pull it from there. So here we have Von Polo asks, will there be more wave mini bosses coming?
Absolutely there will be. We've got a couple of concepts right now, and there should be more soon.
There's 2 more actually.
Yes, there's.
What are the 2 that are in this patch?
There's the Dark Mage special enemy.
And then also I think it's like a giant ranged goblin.
He's terrifying.
I know, he's just so fast. His animations are so fast. You just look at him.
He throws so many bombs. It's a nightmare.
Yeah. So like we said, the special enemies are kind of like, you know, mini bosses in the game, and those are things that we're adding more of. And we really want those to be a nice variety point in terms of like when you get to a map and you're like, oh man, what's this thing? Oh, that thing's so cool. Let's kill it. And then you kill it, and you're like, that made me feel really good because I killed the giant ranged enemy. I think we've also done some art changes to the special enemies that kind of distinguish them from their peers. So
they're looking fierce now. They're
like bigger.
They're bigger. They've got this purple glow. They're far more menacing than they were. Yeah, but they're looking good.
Cool. So we have a question from the comments here. Say, will we ever be able to view enemies in like a glossary? Something that low levels, basically who join high level characters never get to view the monster entrances, so you don't learn what they mean. Yeah, that's definitely something, you know, that's on our list of things to do in the future. I think to keep in mind with any feature like that does take a lot of time from design and other people and UI programming to get those features in. So those are things that we want to get the game first. We want you all to be like, man, this is like so much fun to just play through the whole game, and we have an end game and all the stuff we can do. And then we kind of go from there to do the more, you know, not esoteric, but the more like nice to haves as opposed to the must haves. There's so many must haves that we have to do. We're gonna focus on the must haves, and then once we get those done, we're gonna get to the nice to haves. Yep. Let me say, are special weapons going to make a return? Yes, special weapons are indeed going to make a return. There's something we're really excited about. First, pets will come back though, and we actually have to get a lot of systems in to deliver cool weapons to you. I think we actually have a bunch of concepts now for map-specific weapons. Yeah. So that's something that's going to come in the future. So stay tuned. But yeah, special weapons will be after all those things. So let's go over here. We have Gutu. He asks, is there any interest in adding a friends list? I think I'll take that one. That's something that we may do down the line. Right now, obviously, the game is very heavily integrated into Steam. And with Steam, you have a friends list. So right now, it's kind of using the Steam's friend list. On PSN, it's going to be using the PSN friend list. Once again, we may add something later down the line, but that's just additional, you know, kind of nice to have work that we view right now as opposed to, you know, must have work. I think, so this way, I think player kicking will probably come in before we add a friends list. So let's see here. Can we get a console command or any tweak to change the field of view, please? I think you can do that, can't you?
I'm not sure.
Not sure?
If not,
So that's something that we'll have to, I'll check this off. Let me grab this pen. We can investigate that for you.
Yes.
I actually think that at least I know in the engine you can change your field of view, and we use it when we create videos all the time. So I will see if there's an option or if there is actually in any file you can change if you want your field of view to be increased. So here's question 4. Are we going to get achievements to show up as trophies in the tavern like in DD1, and are we going to get the ability to customize our taverns? The answer to the second part of that is yes. So the answer to the first part is maybe. So once again, that's a system that's coming later down the line. I think we talked before Jeff was here about kind of rewards, and how there's a lack of rewards in the game right now. There's basically
Right.
XP and gold and loot, and those kind of things are things we have to add in to start making the game feel really rewarding as you play through it. So once again, first we have to get the systems in to unlock those things, like achievements, those kind of things, and then we're going to actually get the systems in to have those things. And then in the future after that, we'll be tying some of those things together in interesting ways. So cool. So here's a question. Have we had any thought into including stat ranges and item tooltips?
Yes. There's been some thought into it.
So I think how many times have we redone the item tooltips?
5 or 6, easy.
Yeah, 5 or 6. So the item tooltips are definitely something we're going to look at. It's something that we're not quite happy with yet, but at the same time we recognize that there's, after iterating on it 5 or 6 times, there's some more important things that we have to touch before we go back to the item tooltip. So
and every iteration was getting closer and better.
Exactly.
So.
Every time it's been better. When you look at our original ones, you're like, gosh, what were we thinking? Even though we look at the ones right now and we're like, gosh, what are we thinking? But those will, I'm sure, get better in the future, but we have other things to focus on right now. Let's take some questions from the comments here. So we actually have a bunch of us that still don't get the Steam overlay to work with Playverse, so you can't invite people to your game from in-game. You have to alt-tab to do it. So I think that's a bug that the Playverse team is working on. I'm not sure the exact course of that bug. I can write it down and maybe get Butter here and some of our support team to ask further questions about it. I know there's a lot of Playverse fixes that are going to be coming in the next couple milestones for them, so hopefully some of those will fix those as well. And I think for that one I did see a fix on the forums that someone was able to figure out for that as well. So thanks for that question. It's something we're looking into. Let's see here. Will gold actually have a purpose in this next update? So far it's not very useful.
I know one of our designers, Brett, spent a lot of time overhauling the economy, specifically with a lot of the high-end gold.
Mm-hmm.
So with this patch, there should be a significant change to that.
Okay, so that's definitely something that we'll see to a degree, and like we said, something in the future as we start to add gold sinks into the game, which there really aren't yet, that there will become a use for gold. So right now, consider gold a nice shiny thing that you can pick up, and in the future, as we get some of the more of the systems, and that's where it'll really come to play. So we have a couple questions about resets. Are we planning to do resets? Like we say in the Steam description, and I'm just going to reiterate it here, basically we'll do a reset if it's necessary. We don't want to recognize people are attached to their characters. We recognize people have put a lot of time into playing, so it's not kind of like our intent to just reset. But we're not going to let resetting inhibit possibly making the game better. So for example, if we did a complete item overhaul like we did 2 patches ago, where we basically replace relics with armor, that might require somewhat of a reset. So it's kind of up in the air. We don't want to do it, but if we have to do it, if it makes sense for the game while we're in early access, then it's something we will do, because obviously what we know you guys want and what we want is to make the best Dungeon Defenders game possible. Cool, so I'm going to go back to these questions for a bit. I think we're on number 6. It's like, will we get any player-generated influence polls in the future? Guys, start a forum thread, or if you already have, I'm sorry I haven't looked at it, and that's definitely something we want to do. We actually had some cool ideas in the past for how to do basically player-driven influence votes. I think we had some cool ideas about having like a Reddit-style forum where you can upvote or downvote what you want people to vote on, and then after a certain point people can vote on it. So I definitely think, in this year we'll see changes to the influence system as well. We'll actually see our next influence vote go up, hopefully next week. I know it's been a bit of almost a month since our last one, but we do have, I think, all 3 of the influence votes we've done results actually in this patch, which is really cool. I think that's something that's awesome to be able to say that the community actively, oh man, come on man, that the community actually voted on these things here. So why don't you talk a little bit about the challenge mode quickly and what they're doing in here?
Okay, yeah. So they've got sort of a standard setup, but a little more sort of space between where you set up the choke point normally and where they've set it up now. Excuse me. They've got a lot of attrition towers, a lot of lightning auras and stuff in front to sort of whittle them down as they're approaching. They're still using geyser traps in places for the. They're not still using geyser traps in places. All right.
They don't work.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to tell you.
They don't work. But yeah, so there's there's a definite need to get them before they get to your defenses, because once they get to your defenses, you're not able to stun them, you're not able to keep them off. So you've got to spend a lot of time sort of whittling them down as they march down the lane.
Cool. All right, so let's take one question here from the comments we have. Will these live streams ever be done over Steam? I don't know. Right now, we get a lot of good turnout on Twitch, and that's why we're doing it on Twitch. And in the future, that changes, or people demand for it to be somewhere else. Maybe that's something we'll do. I will not hold anything for granted in terms of where we're doing these streams. So let's see here. When can we expect the training dummy to get changed, like it was discussed in previous live streams? So I don't think that was really done in this patch yet, was it?
I'm not sure.
So I don't think that's done yet, but I think that is something that will be done in the future when we get to take a more holistic look at kind of the Squire, the Monk, and the Huntress, and the changes that they need to their defense kits and their abilities to basically be really fun tower defense heroes to play in the game. Mm-hmm. So if here, given that most players have reached 25++ and are grinding all day, when can we expect new content? So I mean a survival mode or something that can be played 24/7 that those of us want to keep playing way past what DD2 intends us to.
Well, we've got 2 Incursion shipping right now.
Yep.
Very soon. And we've got, more modes in the pipe.
Yep, so we do have more modes, survival, and something similar to survival are things that we're really looking into. I think the answer to that is definitely be patient. Obviously, as we add systems into the game, that's going to add more time to play. And then there will be additional map content. Now, we do actually have maps finished, and I think we're going to figure out when to start showing them to people sometime in the future, but we do want to kind of whatever it's asking for us. We want to play more, and we don't want to just put a map out and then have it not be played a lot because it's just another map. So we're trying to figure out really cool ways to, later in the year actually release some of the pent-up map content that we've created in a way that will make people play it, maybe have special enemies on it, maybe do, maybe have, really cool ways to extend game time and find cool loot and stuff for your heroes that are pertinent to those maps. And then that's something that we take forward as we add other new content into the game. So that stuff's definitely coming, but it's not coming tomorrow. So let's see here. We have a question. When will hero DPS ability characters be stronger than a single tower?
This patch does a lot of good things for hero damage builds. I was playing just 2-3 days ago as a hero damage monk, and it feels
a lot better.
It feels miles better than it did.
Cool. So that's something that we definitely want your feedback on. We started to make changes to that in this patch. We want you to let us know if they're far enough yet or if we need to go even further. So we have a question here. When are we getting the number of projectile stat? I really love this in DD1 simply because of how much awesome it was to shoot 5 projectiles instead of 1. I think this goes back to actually our question earlier, which is when are we going to get special weapons? So, things like that are going to come in at the same time. They're definitely things we're looking at and talking. They're not going to be in the next probably like 2 patches where we're focusing on matchmaking, and then we're focusing on pets and cosmetics and some other like core fundamental reward features that we have to get into the game before we can progress past them. But after then, those are things that we're definitely going to look at.
Everyone loves a staff that shoots
5
bolts.
Yep. And once again, we have to have a way to reward really cool items before we start putting them in the game. So let's see here. We're going to grab some questions from the things. Oh, I think this one has a great answer. So is there new gear associated with the Incursions?
You will be able to find new legendaries exclusively by playing the Incursions.
Yeah, so I think there's, 4 new legendaries added to the game?
Yes.
And they all have cool new art and
cool new arts, cool new effects, cool new abilities attached to them.
Sweet. So there are 4 new 4 new legendary weapons that are only able to be found on the Incursion maps. We'll see if John or Butter, have you found? I always pick which name of his I use. Have you found one of those yet on these maps?
Just this is the biggest thing that's dropped so far.
Oh man! All right. Well, we'll see.
Hopefully
we'll find one. Hopefully we'll get lucky. We'll find out. So let's go back to these questions here, guys. Remember, we are taking questions from the comments, and if you guys want to leave us some questions in advance, we will go through them on the live streams that we do every week. So, do we think the game is going to get more players than DD1 had? I actually think the answer to that is an obvious one, which is yes, because it will be free. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of people playing this game when it's done. Until it's done, though, it probably will have less players than DD1 had because we don't want to let everyone in now. We want to let everyone in when it's ready, when you guys think it's ready, and when we think it's ready, and we're able to be like, all right, this is a great gameplay experience. Let's start getting people in and playing the game. We have a question here. I've noticed that there are boss mechanics in this game, which kind of implies this element will be explored further. Is there any chance that there will be a Smash Fest map where players get to choose between 2 to 3 rooms as they succeed to meet many different types, styles of bosses?
We've been experimenting with different concepts for unique maps. Specifically not that, but it's something we'll think about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we're always looking for good ideas, what people want to play.
Yeah. So we have a couple of things from the comments now, but to wrap that one up, yeah, we're going to be adding lots of new modes and stuff. We know that we need to add a lot of variety to the game, and that's a cool idea to add variety. So that's certainly something we'll be looking into. So we have someone here who suggests that we should nerf the Squire instead of the Apprentice because he just swapped gear from the Apprentice to the Squire, and he found that the Flame Burst had 6807 DPS and the Cannonball had 13572 DPS. So the answer I'll say to there is that your Flame Burst tower can hit a lot more enemies than one. In fact, a lot more enemies than one. I think how many enemies do you think can get into a single Flame Burst hit?
It's 10, changed in this recent patch.
Oh yeah, it's a radius got lower. It is smaller than before.
But before you could hit 10 easy.
Yeah, exactly. So once again, because Flame Burst is AOE and the Cannonball is single target, it was just the way to play the game if you just place Flame Burst. So that's one of the reasons why it got nerfed instead. So we have here, I hope the loot is player specific and not free for all. Yes, that is true. Yes. Loot is player specific in the game. Only you can find your stuff and only you can pick it up. Let's see. Someone told me that there will be an open world to get into missions like in Mario. Is this true? Not really. I mean, there is a hub where you can look at a world map and select your missions. I guess you're referring to N64 Mario where you could jump into paintings and go to different places. Is that what you're talking? But yeah, so there is a map, or you're returning to the old Marios where you get to click on a world map and go places. You don't see your heroes yet, though that would be something that would be really a fun polish thing to show on the map that we have to select things from. Let's see, we have questions. Will tower health ever be changed? There's no reason to pick gear that has tower health sets over defense power and defense speed. So that's something that you want to talk to a little bit?
Yeah, with the stats rebalance going into this patch, tower health is way better than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the stats have changed.
Yeah.
A lot of what was mandatory is now just a fun option.
Yeah, and I think something that we talked to earlier in the stream was that tower health is actually a really good way to get more green mana than you would otherwise, because tower health actually decreases the cost that it costs to repair things in addition to giving your towers more health. Mm-hmm. So you can really save green mana with a tower health spec hero and be able to play more effectively. So we have another question here, which is when do we think the level cap will be raised? And is it in the plans for the game? I'd like to see the levels go as far indeed. When the level cap will definitely be raised. When it is, we don't know. That's something that we're trying to figure out around with how we add new map content and other things to the game. First step is to get campaign mode in. Second step is to fix campaign mode so that you guys can actually play through seamlessly and just have a lot of fun and not even think about the two hubs or those kind of things, and just have it feel really a seamless experience playing the game and leveling up. And then after that, as we add the new map content that we've been creating in the meantime and doing those other things, that's when I think we'll start to explore higher level ranges and those kind of things. So let's go back to these questions here. I know we're powering through. I think we have 7 more minutes in the stream. So where are we? Will you be able to ever re-roll stats?
That's something that I know people want, and I know we've been talking about.
So a definite maybe. That's definitely something we're talking about adding in the future. Once again, we're focusing on the foundational things now, but we think that would be awesome to add some kind of vendor to the hub or something like that, where you could basically, maybe a gold sink or maybe something else, be able to re-roll items. So here's is there any chance to have more hero slots in the deck? Maybe.
Right now. In the deck or in the
deck
total? Oh.
They say, well, let's see. Is there any chance we can expect to see more hero slots than the 6, 2 decks or 3 that we have currently? Oh, that's a different question. So if people want to keep their best heroes and still test out things at a lower level, they have hardly any space for testing out characters. That's a good point.
Yeah, I think there's a very good chance.
Yeah. I definitely think that's something that will happen. It's not happening in this patch, but it's definitely something that I will say we will be looking into in the future. Especially, you know, we're going to be adding more heroes to the game, and that will necessitate having more slots. So, see here. Is there any progress on hero gender options? Will this be delayed until late in the year when other aesthetic options were marked to be scheduled? What is the current vision for handling hero gender selection? So I'll answer the first part of that question. Was first we have to get the costume system in the game. That's what will allow people to change how their characters look, and then that's when probably other gender options will come in. We're not really further down that path yet, like I said, and I'll repeat this over and over again. You know, we're really focusing on the foundation right now, but it's definitely something that we're going to do in the future. And when we know more about it, we will let all of you know. So let's see here. What is your plan with legendary items? I was wondering if you guys consider the idea of unique legendaries. These would be items that are less powerful overall than high-level mythic items, but offer unique gameplay. I think, you know, the answer is that in this patch.
Yeah, play the Incursions.
Can you tell them one of the special stat sets maybe on one of those items?
So the monk's weapon, whenever you were killing an enemy within a radius around you, he'll explode. And then if that explosion kills an enemy, that enemy will also explode.
Oh, sweet! So you can cause like a chain explosion with that. Okay, that's awesome.
So it's a really fun weapon to play around with.
Cool. So yeah, so those are things that we are definitely adding into the game with the different legendary items that we're going to start adding within this patch and continue adding in the future. See what they're on. Wait, 5 out of 5. It looks like they're going to be. I guess you didn't make it hard enough.
I guess not.
Just using all their
Let's go crank up some dials.
Yeah, we'll fix this before the patch. They're not going to be able to beat it now. Alright, sweet. So we have a question here about costumes. Will they be a full set of costume, or are we able to customize between specific parts of the body? I'll answer that one. It's actually going to be both. So you will be able to pick a skin. Then there's going to be a way to customize how your skin looks and actually change out parts and level up parts and do cool things. So that's something that's coming in the future, and really excited to be working on. This one's for you. In the late game, Hunter's traps seem to be outclassed by other classes' towers. I am happy about the Poison Dart Tower updates, but will we be seeing any upcoming balance changes to make the Hunter's class more able to compete with other classes?
Yes. Again, this patch will address a lot of that. Her traps have become significantly stronger.
Let's see if we have any details.
Specifically the proximity mine.
The proximity mine, do you know what kind of buff that got? Let's see if we can...
A significant one.
A significant one. I'm trying to look here. I don't think it's on my cheat sheet. Okay, unfortunately that one is not on my cheat sheet, but once again, you guys will be getting the full patch notes before this patch comes out next week, and you'll be able to see and then even better play with the changes and let us know how they are. So we're going here, 2 more questions from the forums, and then we'll take a couple more from the chat before we end the stream today. Thanks everyone for watching. The second to last question is, since Ballista will have a longer range than Skyguard Tower, and both are burst in the proposed patch, what tweaks do you guys have in mind when or if the Ballista would inadvertently become a better anti-air tower than the Skyguard Tower?
I'm not sure on the specifics. That would be a better question for Dan or Jay.
So I think they've definitely done a lot of work to kind of distinguish between those two towers, and I think that's where you're going to see a difference in. I think in these patch notes, but I'm not going to dig through them again, it also, I think different stats affect kind of how those towers work. So there are differences, and I think that you guys will see that when you play with them. So. Last question here, is there any plan to expand on random events and maps? I was pleasantly surprised that certain maps such as ramparts, the flying units don't always come from the same area.
Oh, yes, there are. Oh!
Victory! Sweet.
Good job, guys. But yeah, we're planning on doing different cool map-specific things like that in the future.
Yeah, so I think that's something that's definitely coming. We've done a lot of, oh man.
Oh, that wood chest.
Oh, I failed.
You worked so hard for it.
Did anyone get something not green? Oh, everyone's mad. They all got it green. That's something that we're supposed to be fixing a little bit. We'll see how well that... You guys can tell us how well that fix actually happened. So cool. So we're going to grab some questions from the forum. Sorry, not from the forums, but from the comments. Thanks, everyone, for watching. I think let's do 3 more questions before we end the stream. So we have here a question. Will you ever offer the old towers used in the game from BD1? I'm sure a lot of people would like to see that. So, you know, we're going to be making changes to a lot of the characters' towers in the future. Whether they're probably never going to be exactly the same as the old towers because this is a different game and there are different mechanics to this game. But I definitely think you'll see a plethora of tower changes both in our main heroes and then in addition to that, the new heroes that are added to the game. Let's see, we have a question here. Will they make tavern items you can buy from the merchant ever be good gear or specialty gear? That's definitely something that, oh man, it's a mono party. That's definitely something that we're talking about, both maybe adding, you know, stuff specifically that you can only get there to make it fun to kind of look and find the specific things, and then in addition to that, you know, making it good. I think there was one point in time where actually it was too good, and everyone was like, this was before it came out, it seemed like, man, there's no reason to find loot in maps. You should only go to the vendors to find loot. So those are dials that we're constantly turning. So we'd love someone to create a forum thread and kind of talk about their experiences with the vendor, and maybe that's something that we need to bump up again in the patch after this one. Alright guys, this is the last question. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll be putting this on YouTube, so tell your friends that didn't get to watch it, they can catch us delayed. And thank everyone who came and watched, and Jeff and Steve for being on the show. We have a question here, which is, can anyone shed some light on this question? Are the 4 heroes in DD2 the ones from DD1, or are they the parents? So the heroes from DD1, but they are grown up. So before, you know, the heroes were toddlers, they were young children, and now they're teenagers. So, yep. So, alright, sweet. Thanks everyone for watching. Have a great weekend, and we can't wait to get this patch to you next week.